In today's video, we're gonna talk about Chase Reid, a 6'2" defenseman, right-handed defenseman playing for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in the OHL. What's interesting about him is that last year he wasn't able to secure a spot on his USHL team, so he started the year in the NAHL before transferring to the OHL, which he had a pretty good year. He was over a point per game. And I had actually written a short piece about him last year in my profile on his teammate Brady Martin, describing him as my favorite player I had for the 2026 NHL draft. Reid is a brilliant offensive defenseman. His game is defined by a special ability, especially for a defenseman, to put the puck in the back of the net. He has an excellent wrist shot and can place the puck exactly where he wants it. Many of his goals come with the very satisfying visual of a bar-down snipe. He is especially dangerous when he has the space needed to move up the ice, even more so if he has been able to build up some speed beforehand.
By Chase Reid. Reid intercepts the pass and then loses it. And now he's caught. Here's Chase Reid into the zone, fires a shot. And
McKenzie gives to Reid. He's got some room. Reid shot up high and stopped there. Shot through. That was deflected. Reid steps up.
There's Reid walking in. He try that same.
His one-timer is also of superior quality, making him a player opponents must be wary of from both sides of the offensive zone.
Greyhounds get it. It's back to the point. Here's Fisher to Reid with a shot. Nice save there. Loose puck. The board stopped by Mignosa. Mignosa cross ice. There's a shot deflected. Nice win this game. There's a shot from the point. Nice save. Greyhounds win the draw. The puck is back to Reid at the point. A shot.
Left wing. That is controlled by McKenzie. Left wing one time. As record holder. Well, that's something we're keeping an eye on here this evening. Not only the 11th in a row, but number 78 would be a pretty significant mark for the head coach Paul Flash.
Another interesting about him is that on some of his shots, you can actually see him trying to find a teammate, so none of his shots are actually forced to the net. He's always trying to take the best option possible.
Reid walks the line. Reid continues to move. Here's Reid right along the ice.
With some pressure here on the Petes. Back to Reid. Reid comes in, shooting another.
The American defenseman is also more than a competent puck distributor. He has one of the better vision that we have seen among defensemen in recent years when it comes to completing cross-ice passes on the power play.
There by the defenseman Enright to get in his way. Back to the point. Chase Reid to Fitzgerald. Here's a chance for the Greyhounds now as Chase Reid sends it in front of Alone is forced loose now, and the Greyhounds head up the ice. Mignosa to Chase Reid into London territory. All alone now to Martin going in. A shot, he scores!
Reid getting away from a defender. Up top at the circle, played back up high for Fisher. Back to Reid, thrown to the front as they were.
As Reid grabs it. Reid hands it off. Fisher with a chance.
Also a Pittsburgh prospect. Handed to the right side. Snapping left wing. McKenzie tried to go in.
Trying to get around Vlasic was Smith.
Comes Chase Reid with it. Cross ice feed. Brady Martin side to Reid. Reid walking in. Mignosa side of the net in front.
Smith just stays on side, as is played by Mignosa. Shot attempted. Fanning on it was Reid. Now a backdoor feed.
Hounds with the face-off. Here's Chase Reid over to Travis Hayes. Backhand.
One distinctive trait in his game is his tendency to use the player possession in the slot. an option not often seen among junior-age defensemen. For me, this has somewhat become a barometer for distinguishing junior defensemen who play on their team's power play simply because there are no other options from those who can exploit multiple options on the ice and have the potential to one day quarterback an NHL power play.
Head down the ice. Chase Reid into the offensive zone. Reid centering pass tipped toward the goal. Play there by Glavin once again. Broke that up. Reid walks in front chance. Great stop by Sharugan.
His passing abilities translate wonderfully into his breakout play. He is possibly the best defenseman in this draft class in that department. Right away, you will notice the remarkable precision of his passes. There is no risk that forwards won't be able to fully capitalize on the speed that they've built coming out of the zone when preparing to receive a feed from Reid because his passes are always perfectly executed.
Zone knocked back in by Serlin. That was a big, heavy collision behind the net. Fitz.
Thought about setting up, forced to play it. Long lead pass ahead. Scored here in the second period last Thursday.
Reid has more than one trick up his sleeve in this facet of the game, as he has the luxury of being able to deliver magnificent backhand passes to his teammate, another thing not frequently found among prospects of his age.
Sending out Soto, Fitzgerald, and Novotny. Scoreless game almost 2 minutes into the third period.
Along with that, his breakout game stands out thanks to an above-average ability to identify the right option under pressure and execute the necessary play.
1-goal lead. Snellgrove trying to chase this down low. Storm getting a chance this in. George out there to cut that off. And the other thing about Carter George too, that's kicked away by George. Good give and go there between Soares and Hapanenko, and the Storm with a couple of good scoring chances recently.
And that's just showing that.
Pickle. Challenger.
In by Brody George. CH to see some positives coming out of the Gens and finding some emotion in this game.
Center is Hayes. Turns it back across the Oshawa line. Stops, waits, Chase Reid pulls it back, now fires.
If you're not getting the puck in the net, and Laus and Kaczynski have now been doing it, and you can see the
One thing that very pleasantly surprised me about Reid this season was his feisty side. Although still inconsistent in this area, there are certain games where he is at the heart of the skirmishes all night long. There were 2 games against the Peterborough Petes early in the year where he truly impressed me in this regard. I couldn't help but think of the line from Denzel Washington's character in the movie The Equalizer when he say, "When you pray for rain, you gotta deal with the mud too." In other words, if you go looking for trouble, you'd better be ready to face the consequences, and that is exactly what Reid did. I don't know if he is a particularly talkative player on the ice, but every shift, his opponent seemed to target him, and at a level that went beyond simply focusing on the other team's best player. The hostility felt visceral. Despite that, Reid handled himself very well. He knows how to respond when he is being singled out by the other team. I believe that the inconsistencies observed in this area were largely tied to the fact that he was playing too many minutes. Indeed, it was not uncommon to see him log over 30 minutes of ice time in a game. During those nights, it almost seemed as he was conserving his energy.
ends up with the puck. Gains center at the Greyhound line. Stops. Reid takes him down.
Off the puck right after crossing the blue line. There's a hit into the boards, and a really good year for the Greyhounds as Chase Reid out on the ice, and he knocks his man down.
Ryder steps up to help out, and here comes Wellenrider into Greyhound territory. Nice play there. Great save by Miller there as Nolan Laird was all alone in front. Back out to the Geritis. Goes into Greyhound territory. Gervais will get hit into the board. Send it in front. That's intercepted. And a large round stretch pass from George to Chase Reid. He gets the puck, tried to pass it. It was intercepted. Here's a chance for the Knights, and ahead to Cook. Here's Cook across the Greyhound line. He's got Hawkins with him. Reid trips up Cook and will come out of their own zone. Here's Nurmi with it. A pass on the wing as Creek.
They're going to get some more ice time that they're generally not used to, so it's an opportunity.
Always new assists get changed in this building. Tried to
Callum Croskery. Croskery just made his debut yesterday at the 2024 second.
Challenger. Edwards trying.
A great save by Miller to get across with a blocker.
12 minutes of the first period. Hard to get your feet going, hard to get your rhythm, spending so much time in the box.
That one eluded Laus, and Posthumous can't get by. Start. OHL deciding on Wednesday to move this game up, along with a couple of others on the schedule. Team
boards. Kuzma and Wright. Kuzma back to.
Speaking of the nice surprises that Reid provided this season, a drastic change occurred in his tendencies and habits when it came to carrying the puck. He is a solid defenseman when it comes to carrying the puck into the offensive zone. However, in the first half of the season, he almost exclusively used the outside lanes when transporting the puck.
Corner. Along the end boards, Taylor. Taylor out in front, loose denied by Miller. Down the right wing, it's Reid. Reid out in front.
Away from him, and here goes Gervais. As the Spirit try to mirror what happened on Sunday afternoon, looking to claw their way back into it. Chase Reid down the ice. Reid to the net, put it just wide.
At times, we saw glimpses of the threat that he could pose if he chose to use the middle. Then his game completely changed now that he used the center lane on each of his end-to-end rushes, and this suits him very well for two reasons. First, he finds himself in a better position to use his shot, and second is that there are some limitations in his skating, and I don't believe that he will be able to beat opponents to the outside in the NHL like the way that he does at junior level.
Quick deflection off the boards to Fisher, back to Reid, through the neutral zone, finds Brown. Brown back to Reid, going in, and it just went wide of the net. Rebound comes in front. Change with just about 4 minutes gone by here in this opening period of play. No score. Here come the Greyhounds. Chase Reid into North Bay territory. Splits the D, and Reid try to...
35 to go in the first. 2-1 Flint. Chase Reid over the logo. Reid gains it. Left side McKenzie.
Gets the puck all the way down the ice as Chase Reid will start moving ahead for CHL to center. Chase Reid weaving through the middle with a shot. That's stopped by...
Lost the puck though. Battaglia trying to step by Reid, but Reid had position and takes it away from Battaglia. Chase Reid through the neutral zone with speed. Finally hits the brakes and dumps it in deep.
Speaking of his skating, Reid's speed is fine. The issue stems more from the fact that he seems to operate at only one gear. He does not have the ability to accelerate once he is already in motion, and there is a risk that it will be more difficult for him at the next level to separate from his opponent since he cannot truly create a speed differential.
And here comes Jeremy Martin. A pass to Mignosa. Mignosa, cross ice it goes.
His backward skating also shows some flaws. He is more likely of being beaten that way as his balance is not quite there in those situations. One of his problems is that he tends to skate backward too much on the tip of his toes.
Here's a 2-on-1 developing for the Sarnia Sting. Van Volsen across the line. Getting over to Beamish, winds up with a shot. Miller gets his shot.
Out come the Spirit, led by James Goh. Liam Storch with it. Storch off a stick and out of play. Round draft pick. His centering pass was knocked down. And out comes Brody Pepoy. Pepoy dropped it off. Here's a chance. Shot. Nice stop there.
Among the things that he will need to refine, his defensive play is the primary concern. Every time players ranked ahead of him on my list put together a few underwhelming performances, I toyed with the idea of moving Reid ahead of them. But then I watch him again and some aspect of his defensive game make that impossible. His stick work in the defensive zone is very deficient. This is especially noticeable on zone entries where his lack of an active stick often results in him being beaten rather easily by the puck carrier. His play in 2-on-1 situation is also a recurring weakness. It is always tricky to criticize a defenseman in these scenarios as even NHL veterans with several seasons under their belt will admit that it is nearly impossible to say with certainty what a defenseman should really do. Some will advocate of letting the goalie handle the shot while the defenseman will take away the passing lane. However, this can leave some dangerous goal scorer with the puck in prime scoring area. Reid tends to defend that way, and on several occasions the shooter had the luxury of walking into the slot with little resistance. When it comes to giving too much space to the puck carrier, this is something else we see from Reid in various situations. His gap control will need to be improved dramatically.
Spada lowering the shoulder as he'll jump up into the play as his teammates change. Spada trying to charge right in. And
another aspect he would benefit from improving is his point of contact when attempting to pin an opponent along the board. He does not target the right part of his opponent's body as he is aiming for the far shoulder, which concedes the inside lane. With a simple pivot, the attacker can easily shake him off. And here's a bad decision still related to his contact point. Here is a scenario where the puck is going back toward the slot and it's a 50-50 situation. All Reid would have to do is to simply extend his arm, heck to even dive onto the ice if necessary, to push the puck out of the danger area. But instead, Reid tries to gain the body position on his opponent by initiating contact while being in a less than ideal position. He can also make some poor decisions as far as zone coverage goes. I'm gonna show you two examples, but they are a bit tricky because they can also be interpreted as some miscommunication with his teammate. So for the first one, I'm gonna start by saying that I am allergic of defensemen going behind their own net. And for this one is also tricky because it looks like one of Reid's teammates is going to cover the trailer option or the player going toward the slot. But then Reid also goes toward him, so his forward kind of laid back a little bit and it left the other player at the other side completely wide open. Reid has the potential to one day play on an NHL top pairing, but to get there, he will need to double down the effort to develop a more mature defensive game. That was it for Chase Reid. I'm not gonna show you all of the clips that I have remaining on him because I have like a gazillion and the video will be way too long. But the next one will be on the other right-handed defenseman in this draft, Keaton Veroff. So you would be able to compare both of them going back to back.
2 for 4 on the penalty kill against the Saginaw Spirit in their 5-4 win on Wednesday. Greyhounds gained the zone.
Oh, but the Greyhounds put in some wins together as well.
Greyhounds would love to snap the Firebirds' winning streak.
Puck loose, knocked in deep by Moore. Guillermin cuts off Reid behind the net. McNosa at the top of the zone. Gives it over to Reid. Steps around to check. Down low.
Try to get it back. Parrish on the forecheck. And the Greyhounds here coming out of their own zone. They might have time for one. Reid almost had it taken away by Soto. And the puck played here through the...
Eventually into the corner. And here's Ryan Brown losing it to Chase Reid. Reid turns away from the face-off as Reid moves towards the net. Stands on the shot, got the rebound though, and here's a chance for the Sting now. Van Volsen couldn't handle the pass. 18:32, the time of the goal. Greyhounds right back in there. Hayes with a shot. Quinlan makes a big stop there. And the Hounds continue to buzz around that Sting on territory. And here's Reid wheeling up the ice with a burst of speed. Chase Reid behind the Sarnia net centers it. And head for Sharon. Into the zone now. Here's a chance for Brown. Brown tried to center it. It goes through. They score! And a collision ensues there near the face-off circle as the Greyhounds come up with the puck. And they are quickly up the ice. Here's a pass going in on goal. Is Vader with a shot, and he just...
Maybe somebody who can help quarterback a power play in the second unit and also play very strong defensively.
Up ahead, Travis Hayes is there right now at the main camp. Marco Munoz.
Well, Quinns McKenzie picked up a few goals in the exhibition, a hat trick against the Spirit in Midland. He can shoot. He showed it there. Not a...
Controlled by Flint, who sprints after it shorthanded with Aspinall. Lombardi's calling for the puck. Aspinall couldn't get it to him.
One get away from him, and Ula back the other way. Lavat.
Knocks it off the stick. Comes to Durbin. He turns on the jets, trying to get away from Reid. Also a good skater. And Reid cuts it out through the goal by Wright.
Well, I heard it. I was like, what?
Wright moving in again. Oh, good stick check by Reid. On that one. McGowan. His pass goes off a stick. Ends up on the...
Fitzgerald tried the give and go with Novotny. Around for Soto. Soto with it. Scoreless game here with 12:51 to go in the second period. Here comes Reid down the right wing.
We'll move it out off the face-off. As it gets into Greyhound territory, there's Hall with it. Hall mixing it up.
Enzi along the boards. Left it for Reid, but it was picked up by the Spirit, and out comes Klepov. Pass knocked down.